Hello viewers, well, it's just under a month now until F1 2011 hits stores. Codemasters of today released a couple of new screenshots here. You can see the safety car in action. This is the first proper screenshot we've seen of the safety car in action. You've also got here racing in the rain, and this third and final picture of the start at Brazil. They're all looking very impressive, pushing the home consoles very hard now. I look forward to seeing the PC versions running as well in the next few weeks. Now recently Andy Gray here, you can see him here, interviewed the developers to get all of the questions answered now, get it all in the open. I get millions of questions all the time from people I just can't answer because I don't have the game here, or because even if I did have the answer I'm not allowed to tell you, or simply because I don't know myself and I'm waiting for more information. So here's the developers now answering the questions you wanted answered, and this is from Andy Gray's video from his page, which was put up earlier this week.
I should really get rid of this chewing gum.
I think the guys in the studio would probably say the race 2, where that was the first experience of the safety car really. It was in the game. I can't remember exactly what happened to me after the start, but I think my controller wasn't input right, so by the time everyone had burnt off and I'd got myself set up and ready to go, I was about 30 seconds down on everyone. So I started to put in some good lap times and started to reel in the guys in front of me. And then about halfway through the race I realised I hadn't used KERS at all. So I thought, oh man, I'm really going to gain on these because it was fast as slap pull geo, but I'm really going to gain on them if I start using KERS as well. And then I tried to use it a little bit early coming through a Rouge, and then bang, smashed into the wall, and the safety car came out for the first time. So I think there's a few comments on the forum now about how I can't drive. But I think also additionally, just recently during some tests we're trying to balance out the various difficulty levels, and we play a lot on Legend internally, but we just dropped it down a level to Pro and we started at the back, and it was me and Steve and Lee and Mark, and it was really interesting actually just to see how you could fight through the traffic, and you knew you were quicker than the cars in front, but because the AI is a little bit better this year, it was really challenging to sort of work out exactly when you could overtake someone. So I think I was ahead for a little bit, and then Steve got past me, and then I just saw Steve scampering into the distance during the various overtaking HRTs, Lotuses and Virgins, and you lose in several seconds of that behind these guys, and that was almost like a cool new game mode to sort of start from the back and see how far you could work your way through.
Safety car, it feels weird starting to answer the questions about the safety car. But when it's triggered, which can be, for example, there's been an accident on the track, for example 3 or 4 cars retiring maybe around a particular corner, the safety car will come out to give us time to clear up the circuit. Safety car does come out of the pits, it'll drive around under a specific condition which lets the back markers past the car. Once it's picked up the leader, then everybody has to follow the safety car, become part of what we call the safety car train. It will then remain out for another lap, after which it will start to come back into the pits. Everybody will be told that the cars are going to be released. This is when people start to warm their tyres up, prepare their car. The leader will tend to back everybody up, and then when you cross the white line, it's up and racing again.
Yes, KERS can fail in the game, might even be a little bit more weighted towards Red Bull failures. No, seriously, with the mechanical failures that we've got in the game now, it all depends on the player's driving style. So there are a number of failures which can get corrected on the pit wall, much like they can in real life. So DRS issues and KERS issues like electrical faults, they can kind of develop. They might only be there for a lap or two and then they get fixed by the pit wall, but it's enough to put you on your back foot for a little bit, or for guys in multiplayer to realise that the car ahead's got a problem and then need to attack. But there's obviously the larger scale of failures as well which you can fix. So gear issues where you would skip a gear or get stuck in gear. Famously Michael Schumacher, when he was stuck in 5th gear I think it was, and how he managed to adapt his driving style to drive around that. You can be too aggressive on the brakes and that really starts to lengthen the distance of braking zones, and obviously can ultimately result in a brake failure, or engine failures as well. You really need to dial down your engine revs and get out of people's dirty air and stuff, otherwise you're ultimately going to suffer an engine failure. So all of those things are tied into how the player drives. It's available for the AI as well, and there's also an option to turn all that off.
So yes, the AI has improved this year. I mean, we've got a completely new system this year in order to not only try and replicate what the drivers do in real life and how the player drives the car. So now the AI are pushing the pedals at the right kind of speeds. They're a little more aware of what's going on around them in order to make the racing a lot closer, a lot more realistic. But they're also trained to drive the circuits far more appropriately. So last year, certainly on the harder difficulty levels, where maybe they'd be lifting or braking slightly earlier than the player, which in effect put everything out of sync, they're now trained to drive in the same style. So you can actually find, if you're playing on the hardest difficulty level, or Legend now, it will at times be a struggle to keep up with them. But overall, it's about increasing their rhythm, or their chances of staying in the rhythm of the race, and we've done that this year.
It's actually pretty good working for Steve. He's one of those guys who, he's got a vision, he knows where he wants the game to go, but he's certainly not closed-minded, and he'll always listen to what people have got to say, and he'll always let you have your say, and happy to try things if he thinks that, it's going to benefit the game. He's always got the game in mind more than his ideals. If it's going to improve it, he'll always go with it.
Right, so there's time attacks. This is the new feature within Proving Grounds. It's much like the traditional time trial, whereby you can lap the circuit repeatedly in order to try and improve your lap times. But in time trial, the traditional sense, you can also tweak your car setup. But not everybody understands all the detail around trying to set your car up for a particular track. Understanding the wing setups, the rebound, suspension, all these kind of details. Time Attack does away with that, and it's about how quickly you can drive this car on a particular track, in a particular scenario, in a particular weather condition, versus your friends. So it's not about being the engineer, it's about being a driver now. Everything's equal, so can you beat your friends?
Yeah, so DRS is something that we enabled fairly early on, and that was one of the question marks going into the season, exactly how it would operate. So we're pleased to say we work obviously closely with the teams with regards to that. So you can turn it on and off yourself manually, but also after it's engaged, you can brake and it will disengage. It's not available through areas like the Monaco Tunnel, just like real life. And in the various weather conditions, if the race starts wet, then obviously you're not allowed to use it, but as it dries, you're allowed to use it. And just last night actually we did a race of Brazil, and it started off dry and then started to get wet. So as I was hunting down the guys in front, it was actually frustrating when the weather kicked in and I wasn't allowed to use DRS anymore. So it's very much as it is in real life.
Yep, tyre temperatures and fuel management is very important in the World of Formula 1 and the 2011 game. So in changing conditions, make sure you don't pick the slick tyres too early, because changing conditions mean the track's very wet, you're not able to get enough temperature into those slick tyres. So if you make that call too early, make that gamble, it might not pay off. Fuel management, very important in the World of Formula 1 as well. That's one of the cool things to manage. Do you run kind of really rich settings at the beginning of the race in order to get the jump on other people, work your way through the field, or do you do what I tend to do, and when you're stuck in traffic or placing a little lower than you expect to be, kind of try to dial the engine back and save that fuel for later on in the race. It gives you options later on in the race, so that's my top tip. So in the 2011 game, you can still interact with the media in much the same way that you could before, but we've tweaked not only something under the hood which determines what kind of an impact your answers have now. In fact, a lot of things in terms of contracts and answers in the media have been developed for this year, but we've also, quite importantly, improved the feedback that the player gets. In 2010, you couldn't be too sure as to how well your answers were going down or how they were being taken by the game world and the other teams. But now, through this press clipping feedback system, you get various press clippings between sessions or between races that really kind of pick you up and place you in the middle of the story throughout the year.
Senior producer or chief game designer, which one's got the most power? Steve's actually the quickest. He spends quite a lot of time playing the game and he's very good at it. Paul, he has some tracks he's good at, but in general, Steve's got the edge.
That's really annoying.
Well, that was great there. I thought I'd pay homage to Andy's camera work, by sort of following the theme. Fantastic, you know, I've been lucky to have a proper hands-on myself. Can't talk about it yet, can't make videos on it, but it's going to be loads of F1 2011 coverage to come soon. I'll be able to answer all your questions and do tons of laps and take some video requests as well. But that's it from me for now, viewers. More when I have it, and as soon as I do have F1 2011 I can show you, I will make some videos on that, of course, straight away. But that's it for now, viewers. More soon.